go.
Opening statement?
Yep, so we'll start with the opening statement and we'll get ready as we kick off the softball season down in Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah, we're ready to go. I mean, we've been inside for quite a while now. Black and gold game last night was absolutely outstanding. I thought it was a great crowd, banquet following it, and just a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. Hopefully we get this snow off the ground. I'm not really happy with Punxsutawney Phil right now, so we're gonna have some conversations with him, but just real excited. We got a really energetic, enthusiastic group, a lot of passion. I'm just overwhelmed with joy of where our staff is. The investment that they've made in our players. You can see the offensive changes that we've had. Very electric yesterday in our black and gold game, and that's really the way it's been since August 26th. New vision, a new energy, a new excitement all the way through, and just real excited to get going with this new group.
Larissa, what do you feel like changes in game week? Obviously you've had weeks and weeks of preparation now, but what kind of shifts this specific week?
One of the big things is just the comfort and them understanding that it doesn't matter that we've taken ground balls in Divine. It's still a ground ball, even though it's going to be in Florida and it's going to be on dirt. So just getting them comfortable being back on dirt, getting our pitchers comfortable throwing in metal cleats. Like there's some things that we can't prepare for being inside. So we're headed down Wednesday. We'll have a full day of practice on Thursday to try to get as many reps as possible. But the last thing that I tell them is that there isn't anything that any team can do that you're not prepared for, to kind of put them at ease. Like, it's the game. The game does not change, and it's a ground ball, it's a pitch, it's a fly ball. So just going out and trust your preparation.
What's the challenge for people who don't know, shifting from turf to dirt? How different is it?
Well, the turf is a true bounce. Like, you're always going to get an easy bounce. I call them little candy hops. Like, so it's really easy. We're real fortunate that the height of the turf in Divine replicates the speed of our game. So it's not a football turf, which is a lot taller, which makes the game really slow. So it's very true to the speed of the game, but the hops obviously are going to be different on dirt.
Coach, you lose Julia, Kara, and Taylor. What are the changes that you've done with your team this year to keep you competitive?
The biggest piece is our staff, making changes in our coaching staff, bringing in a hitting coach, Jake Epstein, who's been a tremendous addition. He's really controlled understanding the approaches, and every batter has an approach on what balls they can handle, what they can't handle, to be able to be much more disciplined. And that was really our biggest weakness the last few years, is we didn't have a lot of discipline in the batter's box. We chased pitches all out of the zone. We were very susceptible to off-speed pitches. So he's really zeroed in on what our weaknesses were to make sure that they're not exposed. That's the biggest piece, and we know we have to have offense to be able to score runs. We're always going to be strong defensively. We're always going to be strong in the circle, but we can't put all the pressure on our pitchers to throw shutouts. So we have to be able to manufacture those runs.
What does it look like, kind of breaking that down in an off season? Breaking down kind of their approach to the plate. What's the process of that?
The first thing is understanding what the strike zone is. So we number the strike zone. We have 5 balls that go across the width of the plate. Mm-hmm. So they understand what a 1 ball is, what a 5 ball is. So it's the terminology first, the piece. And then it's just drills, being able to repeat what a good pitch is that they can handle. We spend a lot more time on analytics and a lot of video analysis. So then every player now understands where their contact point needs to be. Some are further out in the front, some are a little bit deeper. So they just have a better awareness of what is a good pitch for them. And then being able to provide them a lot more video feedback on where that pitch was that they handled it. And that's really where it starts. And then when we'll have set up hitting drills, Coach Apple will talk about, we only want you to hit the ball 3, 4, and 5. So they're eliminating part of the plate. And it's just the repetition of disciplining themselves to stay off the pitches we don't want them to hit and be able to hit the ones that we do.
When you talk about a new vision in the offensive scheme, how much has that analytics tie come from Coach Epstein in the last few weeks? Has that been something that he's brought along with him and emphasized?
Yeah, and we always had the resources. We have a couple new analytics programs in our stadium, Yakertex for one. We had the resources, but we never really took a deep dive into it and implemented it. And that's really Coach Ep's background, that he's done a lot of video analytics. He's been very attuned to a lot of video breakdown. He's a swing coach, and he understands the swing behind it and exit velocity and what the launch angle is. So now being able to have our players understand it as well and then implement it. And they have to be able to make those adjustments. Like, it doesn't matter how much our coaches know if our players don't understand it. So he's been really detailed in being able to break that down for the players, but having drills so then it's not over their head on just exactly what they should be looking for, how to stay disciplined of what you want to eliminate, and stick to the plan. And you'll hear us all year long is just trust the plan, stick to the plan. Players will panic at times. And for instance, like if you're looking for an outside pitch and then all of a sudden the pitcher throws an inside pitch, they panic. And even if the umpire calls it a strike, and then they're like, well, I got to flip my plan and I got to now look inside because she just went inside. And then the next pitch is outside and now all of a sudden they're 0-2. So with staying true to that plan, like you're eventually going to get a pitch that you can handle really well. Just stay disciplined to that and don't panic.
On the Friday, you played Oregon, and the last time you played Oregon, they put 11 runs on you guys defensively. How do you adjust versus a team that has such good hitting power?
Yeah, and they did lose. They lost a lot of their speed. They led the country in stolen bases last year, and they lost maybe 80% of that stolen bases. So it's going to be interesting. They do have a lot of freshmen. They're very, very well coached. I know Missy Lombardi extremely well. They have a lot of strength in their lineup, and they have their pitching is very, very strong. So it's going to be coming down to us. Like we can't hit everything. We have to be able to discipline ourselves in the strike zone. But our pitchers have to make good pitches. And we're exposed. If we leave the ball over the heart of the plate and it doesn't have a lot of movement, it's going to get hit hard. So we have to make sure that we're hitting good spots, that we're moving, changing direction, that we're changing speeds frequently to keep them off balance. But it's going to come down to some situational hitting for us. Like how can we get on base? And that's where the analytics come into play. Like a walk is just as good as a base hit. We got to get on base. We got to be able to get them in scoring position, and then we got to be able to capitalize when we have those opportunities. And we can't expect that we're going to have a lot of opportunities against a team like Oregon, which is just like our conference. We might have one chance to be able to score a run, and we have to take advantage of that.
How do you think, obviously, what Epstein has brought into this program, how do you think that has the ability to maybe take you guys to that next level? Obviously, like you said, bread and butter defense and pitching, but how do you think that that's going to take this place to the next level?
Trust.
Yeah.
It all comes down to trust. And when our players trust what they're being coached, then they're going to be able to reach their fullest potential. If there's any doubt in their preparation, if there's any doubt that they're not prepared, you're not going to get the best version of themselves. And they've developed such a really special, close relationship that there is a lot of trust. And he's a girl dad. He has 3 girls of his own, and to be able to see how his demeanor is and how calm he is, it's exactly what we need. It's a great balance to me. It's a great balance that our offense needs to be able to feel that they have someone in their back pocket that they can trust that is preparing them.
How do you envision using an Abby Carr this year? Obviously, I know we saw with Marissa when she was a freshman, but how do you envision Abby's role this year?
I want to put her in situations that I know she's going to be successful early on. I want her to gain some confidence playing at this level. I mean, it's a big jump no matter what program you come from. So it's going to be spot pitching her here and there without a lot of pressure to gain some confidence, and then I know she's going to thrive in that environment. I mean, she's a gamer, and it's extremely impressive to see when the game is on the line and even practice situations that she just elevates. I'll tell you a little story about her. We were having a conversation and we were doing count pitching in practice. And I said, okay, full count, 3-2, bases are loaded, winning runs on third base. What do you want to throw in this situation? And she goes, whatever you want to call, coach. I feel good with everything. And that's the type of player she is. And that's exactly what I want. I mean, it was a perfect answer. So it's going to be putting her in some situations to get comfortable, and then we're just going to continue to ride her. I think what's really neat is that she has the support of McCann and Harrison as well. She's going to learn tremendously under the two of them, but being a two-way player is really special. And we're going to do the same thing offensively, putting her in situations that she doesn't feel overwhelmed, that she has to do everything. She doesn't have to throw a no-hitter and score all the runs for us offensively. So getting her working into it to figure out what her role is going to be, and then getting her comfortable.
Do you envision that being the pitching rotation, Marissa, Sierra, and Abby, or is that kind of going to be the top of the order?
You know what? I would expect McCann and Harrison to be at the top because they have the most experience. Absolutely. But I'm very impressed with all 6 of them. Like, they've done a great job in the off season. I think Riley Mahalik is going to be a surprise. She did not have, she threw a number of innings at Houston, but the growth that I've seen since she stepped foot on campus is really, really impressive, and she's got some late dart breaking movement. Courtney Donahue had an unbelievable summer in the Florida Gulf Coast League, so she gained a lot of experience over the summer. And then we have Natalie Touche that is dynamically different than everybody else. I anticipate that we're probably going to relieve for each other. And that's kind of how I'm managing the bullpen right now, because we don't have a true reliever like we had last year. So I think that we're going to be relieving for each other, that if McCann starts, that maybe Harrison comes in and close, maybe it's Carr, maybe it's Touche, and then one of them starts the next game.
Coach, talk about Gracie Britton coming from right down the road in Ashland and the black and gold, excuse me, in the black and gold scrimmage, 3 hits and a home run. What does that do for her confidence? Where do you expect to see her this year?
You know, it's huge, and we needed her. We were short-staffed behind the plate, so it was huge for us to be able to get her to graduate early and being able to contribute. But the kid can play. I mean, we wouldn't have signed her if she couldn't. It's just a whole semester early. So she's had to learn a lot in a very short period of time. She didn't step foot on campus until January 6th. So we've really crammed 4 months of work into a very short window. So, but she's such an athlete. She's got athletic parents, and she's been around our program since she was 9 years old. So she's seen exactly what we need to do. We've talked a lot about the game. It's just getting up to the speed of the game. But she's going to be able to contribute.
Coach, last year one of the hardest strength of schedule in the nation. This year, a little bit less hard. So how do you keep your team competitive when you're not playing top competition every single week?
You know, and we don't ever look at who we're playing. We look at the Mizzou standard. We know what we have to do in order to beat the best teams in the country. So I'm evaluating ourselves against ourselves. So we don't get caught up in who's the name across the jersey. We're going to play consistent the whole way through, regardless of where we are and who we're doing.
Stefania Abriscato, what does she bring that's different behind the plate than what Julia might have brought last year?
Yeah, completely different. And if you were to watch videos side by side, different body types, receive differently. Fania is so good. She gets so low to the ground, which gives the umpires a really good view. And she has the ability to really get underneath pitches differently than Crenshaw did. Different personalities. You know, you've seen Stefania over the last 2.5 years. Bubbly personality. She's the one that's cheering on top of the dugouts, trying to get the fans all going. She has that same energy behind the plate. And the pitchers just absolutely love throwing to her because of the excitement that she brings.
Coach, not to get too big picture, but with the way last season went, how do you address that in the off-season ahead of a new year when you fall short of expectations? How do you address that? And who do you sort of lean on to try and make it?
Yeah, and the only time we addressed it was in our first meeting in August. And that was it. And then I said to the team, like, we're not talking about last year ever again. We learned from it. It's not the same. It's over with. It doesn't carry over. We're turning the page. And it stopped. Like, they do not talk about last year one bit. It's a new year. It's a new team, which is the way it should be. And they've come in this year, and they've had a different ownership and a different pride to make sure that we take care of business. But when you break down last year's season, it came down to 4 games. 4 games, if instead of losing, if we had won 4 of those games, we were in postseason. Our strength of schedule, like you said, it was outstanding. Our RPI, our national ranking was very strong. We were a top 30 team when the selection show came in. So we had the body of work. We just didn't have the over 500 winning percentage. And that's on us. Like, we had an opportunity to win a lot of games, and we just fell short. So we have to make sure, and it's almost an eye-opening experience for everybody, that you can't take any game for granted, that you have to go out and you have to try to win every single game.
You mentioned it was eye-opening. As a coach, you know, what do you learn from just how close last season, like inches from the postseason, you know, what do you take away and learn from that?
So I can even go back to my time before I came here to Mizzou, when I coached at Hofstra in the Colonial Athletic Association for 17 years. And when you're a mid-major program, you have to win your conference tournament to go to postseason. So you know what that feeling is like to have to win. That's what the mid-majors teach you. And when you're in the SEC, every team in the SEC has an opportunity to go to the World Series. That's how strong the SEC is. And there's times that you're finishing 13, 14, 15 in this conference, and you're still going to postseason. You can make a run deep into postseason. So our players don't always know what that feeling is like to have to win. So when you experience a year of not going, it kicks you in the teeth a little bit on maybe you were taking some things for granted, and now it's not an automatic guarantee that you're going to go.
Who have been some of the returning players who have kind of embodied that mentality for you so far?
Kaylee Langer, I mean, she is one of our strongest leaders that we've ever had. She's very unbelievably mature. She has great awareness and feel for her teammates in the program. She's an extension of the coaching staff, but she's the one who really embodies and to make sure that everybody stays in line and holds everybody to that standard.
Kaylee and Sierra, your only 2 seniors that have been with you. All your other seniors have transferred in. leadership is a big question with losing so many people last year. How do you make sure leadership is consistent this season?
One of our philosophies is the game doesn't care what year you are, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. I would say that last year, even though we had some really strong seniors, I don't think that they were strong leaders in the locker room. Our junior class is extremely strong in terms of their personality and their leadership, and we also have that with Kaylee Langer. So it's holding up everyone to that same standard. It happened all summer long and holding everybody accountable, and it's carried all the way through this year. But we also have some freshmen that are unbelievable leaders. They just have that in their personality with an Addie Waits and a Sid Forrester and even Abby Carr. But they're leading by example, and they know what it takes to win, and they're going to make sure that their teammates are always doing the same thing.
How would you describe your softball culture?
Our culture, it starts with our culture pyramid. The bottom and the foundation of our culture is blue collar mentality. Like, that's who we are. We have an unbelievable work ethic. We're disciplined. We're self-motivated. We take pride in what we do. We hold each other accountable. Those things will never change as long as I'm the head softball coach here. I'm really proud in how hard we work. I love being the underdog because we're going to outwork everybody. And I want our players to believe that no one's worked harder than Mizzou softball. So we're prepared on the field, and we're just going to grind and grit it out.
In these first handful of games, you've mentioned some changes from what you saw last year that you want to see. What kind of shows you, or what specifically are you looking for these first few games to show you're starting off on the right foot?
So when we enter squad, and you could see it yesterday in our black and gold game, we are extremely high energy, gritty, fierce competitors. They'll talk trash to one another. We've used the word be stingy a lot. Be stingy of the scoreboard, like protect the scoreboard. Be stingy of your at-bats, like don't throw it away. I want them to play that way against outside competition. And if they do that, if they carry over that same chip on their shoulder and confidence, they're going to be really, really fun to watch and extremely competitive.
You bring in Connor Mamola this year for your pitching coordinator, new hire. How has he worked with the pitching staff this year?
Great addition. I mean, he's a brilliant mind. He's going to be an up-and-coming superstar. I'm really fortunate to have him within our program, and hopefully we can keep him as long as possible. But he's that analytic side of pitching. He brings something that I have not been able to do. I haven't had time to do as the pitching coach. And he breaks down film. He looks at the analytics. He lives and dies by pitching. So he's been bringing way more to the table in terms of preparing our players, some deficiencies that they've had. How do we tunnel pitches better? Things that I really haven't been able to really dig into in my role as a head coach. So just another mastermind that adds another layer to our coaching staff.
Any other questions? Anybody from Zoom?
Yeah, hey Larissa. I was just wondering, aside from Abby Carr, which freshmen have you seen make the smoothest transitions over from high school ball to college ball?
Addie Waits and Sid Forrester. Addie Waits is really, really special. She reminds me of Jessie Warren, who played third base for Florida State. And if you remember when Florida State won the national championship, she made the out and dropped to her knees and celebrated, but very similar. Her instincts are impeccable. I can tell you when I was recruiting her, I was sitting behind home plate looking down the third base line, and there was a left-handed batter up, and the bat angle was showing that the ball was going to go into foul territory, and Addie Waits was already leaning into foul territory, reading the bat angle. Like, things like that you don't teach. She has that natural instinct. And her reactions over in the hot corner are really special. And then Sid Forrester, just a natural leader, very vocal, great personality, but she's one that when we throw to her, she's really tough to get out. Like, she does not have a hole in her swing, so she challenges me to be a better pitch caller because she's not one-dimensional.
Hey, Coach. You touched on it a little bit earlier, but I believe there are 12 SEC teams in the ESPN/USA softball preseason top 25. We obviously won't know who's actually good or not until they play, but what are you expecting out of the collective toughness of the conference this season?
You know, it's interesting, and I've looked at the trends of the last 5-6 years of the SEC, and there's years that the offense is dominant, and I think our average ERA last year was above 3.3, and then there were other years that the average was below 3. I think pitching is gonna be a lot stronger this year in the SEC. I think that there's been a lot more concentration on some analytics, that it's starting to catch up to the hitting. I mean, but the teams in the SEC, they're so well coached. Like every year, everybody's getting better. They're bringing in better players. They have better technology. They're able to break down. Everyone's stronger. So it's really hard to predict who's going to come out on top. You know, it's just an unbelievable conference.
Coach, Abby Hay had some injury problems last season. How is she healing, and is she going to be a contributing factor this year?
She's 100%. You know, she spent her entire off season getting herself in a position where her body was healthy. And you know, it's unfortunate when an injury happens during the season, there's no time off. Like you can't take time off. So you have to play as 100% of what you have at that time, but she's healthy, she's strong, she's ready to go.
On injuries, you guys going to be healthy, getting ready for this upcoming week?
That's the plan. I mean, there's a couple kids that, couple bruises, bumps. So we're off today. We have a easy practice tomorrow, and we hit the road on Wednesday. But we should have a full roster come game time.
You mentioned that trend towards pitching across the league while you guys are focusing on offense throughout the offseason. Is that in part just an attempt to kind of zag against what you're seeing other teams doing, or was it just?
It's in part that our offense has not been good enough. You know, looking in, and I can go back even the previous year, you know, the year that we did so well and we go to super regionals, the numbers were very similar to last year. We just found ways to win. You know, and we even had players like Jenna Laird and Alex Honnold, but we found ways to win. And when you're putting your offense in a position that you feel pressure and stress that you can't win, then it kind of steamrolls everything. So that was really the difference. So now let's not put as much pressure on our pitching to try to manufacture a couple more runs.
All right. Anybody else from Zoom? All right, sounds good.
Cool.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Coach.
being here.